his helmet. It's like a skull cap with a face mask on it.
Oh yeah, well it is a very small helmet,
It's a very small
so
helmet.
therefore most of the padding has been removed. Otherwise, it would not fit in my fat head. On the other hand, that 62 Cowboys helmet or that 61 Cowboys helmet sitting in front of you still has the padding intact, so that's not going on anybody's head.
Yeah, I just tried it.
It's relatively small.
It ain't going on my head, that's for sure. Out of bounds, talking coaches' salaries this hour. Urban Meyer got a raise yesterday, just as he heard us on Out of Bounds talking about him not being the highest paid coach in the conference. What does Florida do? Gives him a raise. Why? Because they heard it right here.
We started talking about it at about 9:10, 9:15, and by 3 o'clock, it was done.
Done. They got it here.
I like having that kind of power.
Yeah, Les Miles.
Exactly.
Les Miles said he's staying at LSU, but then if Alabama keeps making it hard on him, he'll be gone, and he'll probably wish he dashed when he had the chance. But
Shine asked me a good question in the break. He said, if they paid Urban Meyer $6 million a year, would he take it? I said, it's not about the money. It's Notre Dame. It's not about the money. He would go. I mean, I'm sure to get some raise over. He'd go for what he's making now. I'd even wager he'd go for less money if it meant it.
But he wouldn't go this year because he is loaded for bear this year.
Loaded for talent. Why should he go this year?
Right.
And if he is probably rooting for every team who's playing Notre Dame this year.
He wants Notre Dame to go 2-9 this year. And he wants them to lose by 70 to Michigan. And
by 65 to Ohio State.
It's gonna be bad, and he may get his wish.
Speaking of Ohio State, Jim Tressel is the number 7 highest paid coach in America, the highest Big Ten coach, and surprisingly, Kirk Ferentz at Iowa is number 2 in the Big Ten and number 8 overall. Probably the biggest surprise on the list.
I can see him being up there in the Big Ten. Being number 8 overall does surprise me. It'd be nice to see them do something. I think the last big thing Iowa did was have Robert Gallery there, and of course he went to the Raiders and disappeared.
Kirk Ferentz makes twice as much as Joe Paterno.
Wow.
You know what though, when Joe Paterno first began coaching, I wonder what his first year salary was.
Probably $18.
Yeah, I was going to say
free lunch.
Now, you can go through the school cafeteria.
Yeah.
You can take classes at a discount, and you get $500.
You can live in the dorm.
And you can live in the dorm. Sold? Okay, you're our coach.
He gives half his money back to the school. Paterno does.
That's true.
Sean, what has Kirk Ferentz done to earn $3 million a year?
They had a couple of good years. I mean, they had some years. The problem with Iowa is Iowa has turned into a school that is consistently a bridesmaid.
A bridesmaid. That's the perfect word. They're a bridesmaid every year.
They end up being up when somebody else is upper. If you will. They turn into a really good team, and then you look over there, and all of a sudden, wow, there's a better team right across the road.
Yeah.
We're not as good as Oklahoma. We're not as good as Ohio State. We're kind of in the middle of a whole bunch of teams that are a little bit better than us. And so, if he still has a couple of years before they get really mad at him and take away his job or anything.
He is winning though at Iowa.
But yeah, he is winning at Iowa. Of course, Hayden Fry won at Iowa.
True.
But of course, they didn't run him off either. They kept him for a long time.
They did. Hayden Fry stayed there for a long time. The thing of Tressel, I think Tressel will be in hot water here soon.
Do you really? Why?
I just getting to winning the Big Ten is not a big deal to me. That's my opinion.
Okay.
But it's a big deal in the Big Ten, and him losing in bowl games every year consistently for the last in the BCS bowls and not showing up. His team's not showing up and playing in the BCS bowls is gonna. I think. I mean, look how they get dismantled in these.
I think that he's the coach that people like to pick on right now because I think his team is the team that people like to pick on. Oh, they make it to a BCS bowl and then they lose. You know what? Ohio State and one other team had a shot at the national championship over the course of about 4 or 5 years every year. Ohio State and somebody. They win one, they lose a couple, and all of a sudden everybody's hating on Ohio State because they don't show up for a championship game. You know what? They won one. Name the teams in the last 5 years that have won a national championship.
I give him that.
Okay,
But same thing happened here at Tennessee with Fulmer.
true, but
After
Fulmer,
a few years, you stopped winning.
Yeah, but
but he's still
Ohio
winning.
State's not going 5-7.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're right
He's
about
still
that.
and they're
winning.
still
Yeah,
winning
they're
conference
still winning
championships.
conferences. Yeah, you're right. I agree with you
If
there.
there's a, who would you take if you were gonna, if your favorite team was the Omaha Raiders in Central Nebraska, who would you want to be your coach?
Trying to figure out how we got Omaha. and
No matter
Central
who
Nebraska.
your
That's
team
right.
is, who would you want to be your coach? If you could have any coach in the conference, in the country, who would it be?
Any coach in the country.
the Omaha Raiders.
No, let's say you're
Nice.
the Tennessee Volunteers. If you could have any coach in the country, who would it be?
Joe Paterno available?
Anybody's available.
Anybody's available. Wow. There's so many things to look at. Do you expect this coach to be there for more than 5 years so you can build a Paterno-like program? Or do you want somebody who's going to show up, win big the first year, and then move on? Or do you want somebody who's going to show up, build for a couple of years, and then be consistently good? You know, it depends on what you want.
Anybody in the country. Your pick. They're all available. I'm picking Urban
I
Meyer.
think Tennessee would want a dynasty. Just go with that. A dynasty type coach.
Tennessee wants a dynasty-type coach.
5462148. Mark does not know who he wants as his coach.
No, I really don't. I mean, the obvious answer is you pick Urban Meyer, but
Yeah.
you pick Urban Meyer, he wins, he's gone next year. He's gone to Notre Dame. What have you accomplished? I mean, you
Well,
sold,
let's say
you sold a lot
let's
of
say your
tickets.
guy's going to be here 10 years. Who do you want? You want Urban Meyer?
If a guy's going to be
or
here
Pete
10
Carroll
years,
or Lane Kiffin?
based on what I know right now, I'd rather have Urban Meyer.
Based on what you know right now.
Based on what I know right now. Boy,
Which
Pete
is a
Carroll,
fair
Pete Carroll
answer.
would be up there too. And no offense to Lane Kiffin, 5 years from now, everybody in the country may be saying, you know who I'd want? I'd want Lane Kiffin. But let's give the man a couple of seasons at Tennessee before we start doing that.
Lane Kiffin, I think Lane Kiffin's on my short list. Les Miles, I like a gunslinger type of chance, risk-taking type of coach. That's fun football to watch. Mark Richt is a good coach, I think. One of the guys I would pick. But listen, all my coaches that I'm picking, most of them will come, if not all of them, will come from in the SEC.
You want a guy with SEC experience.
Exactly. That's battle-tested coaching. I mean, that's battle. You think about a guy like Bobby Johnson at Vanderbilt. I don't know how long Bobby Johnson has been at Vanderbilt, but to have them competitive when they
Sure.
were a perennial doormat in the SEC, and now all of a sudden they're competing.
You know what,
That
though?
guy can coach a little bit.
They competed last year.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to. I think they're going to be one tiny notch above traditional Vanderbilt this year. Not saying he's doing a bad job. He had a
Okay.
really good run. Here's going back to the topic of discussing why Ohio State. Sure they got their national championship, but here's something that lends itself to choosing an SEC coach if you had a choice. Ohio State makes it to the national championship game, but they've had a couple rough national championship games. They've won one, but they had a couple really rough ones as
Really
well.
bad ones.
And you want to know why I think that would be the case? Because you can take a team like Ohio State, and in the national championship game, you can throw things at them that they have not seen, and you can play in ways and with strengths that they have not seen over the course of the season. You can't do that with an SEC team. You are not going to say, you know what, you won the SEC, but you haven't seen this kind of power. You can't do that in the SEC.
No, you can't.
They saw it against Mississippi State, for Pete's sakes.
Yeah, I mean, every week in the SEC is potentially a bowl game.
The only thing you can
And
really
a
do
BCS
is
bowl at that.
right is do something freakish, like throw, like we talked earlier or last Thursday, like Air Force running the option.
Yeah.
That's going to throw an SEC team for a loop, but you're not going to see that team in the championship game.
No.
And so that's one of the advantages of being an SEC coach. You're not going to get to a national championship or a BCS bowl, and all of a sudden you're seeing things, oh my goodness, this is different.
Yeah.
Well, the strength of schedule in the SEC is what will keep you in the hunt for a national championship.
Even with a loss.
Even with a loss.
Even with a
That's
loss.
right.
Absolutely.
A Pac-10 team or Big Ten team with a loss is not likely to get into the national championship game unless everybody has a loss.
That's
Right.
why we got to get out the BCS and have a playoff system. It can work. I think USC. I'm not saying they're a bad team. I'm not saying they're a great team. They got a great coach, but you cannot tell me this is not the biggest